Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt this fire inside you? Like you're meant for more than what you've settled for. More than what society told you could be. You're not crazy. That fire is real, and today, we're in IG-manated into a flam that'll never die. Because I'm about to share with you what I call the OOI 3PS to Master Why. If you truly want to achieve anything, anti-HING. Whether it's building a business, transforming your body, mastering relationships, or becoming the best in your craft, it's going to happen through one of these three paths. Master them, and you become you, still PBLE. Every day, you and I are bombarded with the myth of talent, the lie that only the gifted, the lucky, or the chosen ones reach the top. You hear people say it all the time. She's just naturally good at that. Was born to do that. And you know what? That kind of thinking is seductive because it lets us off the hook. It gives us an excuse to stay small, but I want to shake you out of that trance right now. Mastery is now a gift. It's not magic. It's not DNA. Mastery is a DC SIO. A clear, conscious, committed choice to never back down until your potential becomes your reality. Think about this. Every single master, expert, world-class performer you admire, whether it's Serena Williams, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, or that ridiculously fit guy at your local gym, they all started in the same place, not understanding, not having a clue. They didn't wake up one day with superpowers. They made a decision to walk a path most people run from. The path of repetition, failure, learning, growth, discomfort, and ultimately excellence. Let's take a very real, very relatable example, learning to cook. Imagine two people start out on the same day. One says, I'm just not a natural cook. I always mess it up. The other says, I'm going to figure this out. I'll burn things. I'll mess up recipes. I'll learn every single time. Now fast forward 90 days. One person is still microwaving noodles. The other, she's hosting dinner parties. What made the difference? Was it talent? No, it was a decision to commit. A decision to master. You've made decisions like this in your own life before. You just may not have noticed them. Maybe it was learning to ride a bike. No one's gifted at bike riding. You scraped your knees. You fell. You got scared, but you got back up. And eventually, boom. You were flying. It didn't take a secret skill. It took a decision. I'm going to figure this out. Or maybe it was learning how to drive. Remember how awkward that was at first. Adjusting mirrors, hitting the brakes too hard, turning the wheel too fast. You were nervous. It was clunky. But you stuck with it. Now you probably drive while talking, sipping coffee, and planning your day, and you barely think about it. That's mastery. It didn't happen because you were meant to drive. It happened because you made a decision to learn. The same principle applies to ANYTHING you want to be great at. Want to master your finances? Start learning about money. Watch what wealthy people do. Practice saving. Screw up, try again. Want to become insanely fit? Decide to move your body every day, even when you're tired, even when it's raining, even when no one claps for you. Want to build confidence? Decide to speak up once a day, even if your voice shakes. Mastery is a muscle. And like every muscle, it only grows through use, through repetition, through sweat, through the choice to keep going when others quit. The difference between those who master life and those who don't isn't brains, biceps, or bank accounts. It's the DC sound to show up differently. You see, most people wait for permission. They wait to feel ready. They wait for someone to say, you're good enough now. But the people who master anything, they don't wait. They decide first. They commit first. They burn the boats and they say, I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how hard it will be. Here's what's powerful: the moment you decide truly to see, you change your identity. You stop being someone who wants to be great, and you become someone who is becoming great. It's no longer a dream. It becomes your direction. It becomes your standard. And your brain starts searching for ways to help you. It starts filtering the world through the lens of, how can I win? How can I learn? How can I grow? Don't underestimate that shift. The human mind is designed to deliver on what you expect from it. If you say, I could never do that, your brain will prove you right. But if you say, this is mine to master, your brain will move heaven and earth to help you get there. So today, I want to challenge you. Area of your life have you been pretending is out of your control? Where have you bought into the myth that you're not gifted enough, smart enough, or lucky enough? And more importantly, what would happen if you CDD fully ferociously, that you were going to master it? Would it be hard? Of course. Would you fail sometimes? Absolutely. But would you grow? Would you evolve? Would you become the person you were meant to be? 1000% West, because mastery isn't about being the best. It's about becoming your best, one decision at a time. And the first decision is to believe that it's possible, not someday. Not when it's easy. Now, not for someone else, for why? So what's it going to be? Are you going to wait for a gift, or are you going to decide to master your life? The choice is yours. The time is now. And if you truly decide, I promise you, everything changes. Have you ever tried to figure something out all on your own, spending months, even years, learning through mistakes, struggling in silence, and hoping one day it'll finally click? That's the long road. That's the path most people take. And while it can teach you a lot, it can also drain your energy, kill your momentum, and make you question whether your dreams are even worth it. But what if there was a faster way, a smarter way? What if you could shave off 5, 10, even 20 years of trial and error just by following the footsteps of someone who's already been where you want to go? That's the power of modeling. And it's not just powerful, it's a game changer. Modeling successful people is the shortcut most people overlook. Here's the truth: success isn't random. It's not a mystery. It leaves patterns, clues, blueprints, and if you're smart enough to find those clues and model the behavior, mindset, habits, and decisions of someone who's already achieved what you want, you can get there a whole lot faster with a whole lot less pain. Think about how we learn anything as kids. We model. We copy. A baby doesn't learn to walk by studying physics or reading a manual. It watches adults. It studies how others move. It mimics every step. And eventually, that modeling turns into action and action into mastery. Let's bring it into daily life. Imagine you want to get in shape. You walk into a gym for the first time, completely overwhelmed. Machines everywhere. People doing exercises you've never seen. You could spend months trying random workouts you saw on YouTube. You could walk up to the fittest, most consistent person in the gym and say, "Hey, what do you do? Can I learn from you?" Suddenly you've got a routine, a direction. And within weeks, you're progressing faster than you ever thought possible. Modeling works in every area of life. Want to build wealth? Don't guess. Study someone who already has the financial freedom you want. What do they read? How do they invest? What was their mindset before the money came? I guarantee you, they didn't get there by accident. Their life is the result of specific, repeatable choices. And if you're willing to study them, to model them, their success can become your foundation. I remember hearing this quote early in my life that changed everything. If someone has something you want, it means they've found a way to create it. And that means it's available to you too. If you're willing to learn, that fired me up. It made me realize that no matter how far someone was ahead of me, I could catch up if I paid attention to what they did, not just what they said. Here's another example: relationships. Let's say your relationship is struggling. You and your partner argue more than you connect. You feel stuck. Most people just tough it out or give up. But what if instead you find a couple who's been together 20, 30, 40 years and they're still deeply in love? What if you sat down with them and asked, how do you communicate? What do you do when you disagree? What's your secret? You would gain more wisdom in 30 minutes of modeling than you would in 3 years of therapy, because you're learning from real results, not just theory. Modeling is not imitation. It's not pretending to be someone else. It's about capturing the essence of what works and applying it in your own unique way. You're not becoming a clone. You're becoming a more strategic, empowered version of yourself. One of the most powerful things about modeling is that it doesn't just give you tactics. It gives you belief. When you see someone just like you, same background, same struggles, maybe even worse starting point, who has built the life you want, it cracks open something inside you. It says, if they did it, so can I. It replaces doubt with confidence, confusion with clarity, fear with fuel. And let's be honest, we're living in the best possible time to model anyone, anywhere. You don't even need to know them personally. You've got books, podcasts, YouTube, social media, online courses, masterclasses. You have access to the minds of millionaires, athletes, leaders, spiritual guides, and masters of every craft right at your fingertips. The only question is, will you use it? People who win at the highest level don't waste time guessing. They find someone who's done it, they model what works, and they execute. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it's effective. And it works every single time. So what do you want to master? Is it a skill, a mindset, a lifestyle? Somewhere out there, someone has already walked that path. They've stumbled, learned, and overcome. Your job isn't to reinvent the wheel. It's to find the wheel that works and roll it. The greatest mistake is thinking you have to figure it all out alone. You don't. Success is not solo. It's built on shoulders. The people you model today become the bridge to the life you'd always dreamed of. So stop trying to do it the hard way. Choose the smart way, the fast way, the proven way. Model someone who's already done it. Then one day someone will be modeling you. Let's face it, the idea of mastery is exciting. We love the idea of being great, being excellent, being recognized for our skill or knowledge. But you know what most people don't love? Often frustrating path of doing something and again and again. And here's the truth. That's exactly where mastery is built. This is repetition and adaptive feedback come in. And they're two of the most powerful tools in your life, maybe whether you realize it or not. These are how your brain learns, how your habits form, and how progress compounds. Maybe let's start with spaced repetition. Your whole life, probably without even knowing it. Think about how you learned your alphabet. You didn't read it once and memorize every day over and over, and eventually get stuck. Same thing with driving a car. At first, mirrors, peels, but after enough spaced repetition, practicing over time, not cramming in one weekend, your brainwave. Now draw it without even thinking about it. That's the magic of spaced repetition. It's not about working harder. It's about working smart over time. Do something in a day. You need to revisit it consistently with purpose, spaced out over time so your mind and body action absorb it. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think repetition means doing this here, they magically improve. But here's the truth. Repetition without feedback is useless. Maybe it's like shooting arrows into the dark of our target. That's why the second half of this key, adaptive feedback, is so essential. Adaptive feedback means you don't solve, you learn, you reflect. You say, okay, maybe that didn't work. What can I do different? Come from a coach, a mentor, a friend, or even just your own self-awareness. It's the art of turning mistakes in straight. That's how it go from practice to progress. Let me give you a real-world example. Imagine someone learning to play guitar. If they practice the same roles, guess what? They mastered the wrong way to play. But if they mess up, watch a video. Ask a teacher and adjust. Now they're nowhere improving. That's the power of feedback. It transforms action into evolution. This is true in every area of your life. Want to be a better communicator? Don't just talk. Get feedback. Did your message land? Did people understand you? How was your tone? Your presence. Every conversation is in and repeat. Trying to build a business. Every failed launch, every lost customer, every misstep. It's all feedback. Only if you're humble and hungry and knowing to learn from it. The greatest entrepreneurs in the world don't avoid failure. They mine it. They squeeze every lesson out of the lesson time. Now here's something really important. Mastery doesn't come from massive leaps. It comes from tiny, invisible improvements that stack over time. Another tweak here, one insight there. Over time, those micro improvements become major breathing. You don't even notice it happening. Until one day he says, wow, you're amazing at that. And you smile because you know it wasn't magic. It was, a repetition, it's feedback, it was time. Even in fitness, this shows up clearly. You don't lift weights and transform your body, but you show up 3 times a week, track your form, adjust your technique, and recover properly. You look back in 6 months, you'll repetition, spaced repetition, and adaptive feedback in motion. Let me tell you a secret. Maybe most people quit way too early because of this. They try something once or twice, it doesn't go perfectly, and they think, I'm just not good at this. But they don't expect to get it right the first time. They expect to learn. They expect to adapt. They understand that every time they show up, they're getting better. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You just have to keep showing up. Suck yourself. What have you been giving up on too quickly? What skill, habit, or dream have you abandoned? Because, and more importantly, what would change if you committed to spaced repetition and adaptive feedback? Maybe you'll go, perfect. Very time. The mindset of a master. That's how greatness is forged. Not in a brilliant moment, but keep showing up, keep adjusting, keep growing, and I promise the results will show up too. Not someday, maybe, but inevitably, because mass talented. It goes to the most consistent learners, the ones who repeat, refine, and rise, starting today. Have you ever walked into a room and a mediocre ink inside you? Maybe it was a buzzing gym filled with energy, a boardroom pulsing with ambition, or a quiet library where focus was in the air. Without saying a word, you felt something, a pull, a rise in your awareness, a nudge to match the energy. That's the silent, invisible force of environment. And here lies your environment is shaping you every second. Whether you know it or not, you might think you're making your own decisions. You're in full control. But the truth is, your habits, your standards, your energy, maybe then your beliefs are deeply influenced by the energy you surround yourself with. That's why this key principle is so critical to achieving mastery. Environment dictates performance. Let's have the best intentions, the biggest dream, most detailed goals. But if you're in the wrong environment, it will feel like trying to sprint Quixnight down. You'll procrastinate, not because you're lazy, but because you're swimming against the current. Now flip the script. Imagine what happens into a room where ambition is normal, where people talk about ideas, not gossip, where growth is expected, where winning habits are just par. You're pushing, you're not pushing anymore. You're pulled forward, not forward. Pulled. Because the energy, that environment of even realizing it. Let's bring it into everyday life. Imagine you've decided to get healthy. You're excited, you're motivated, and you buy the right grocery store. Hit around you are constantly ordering pizza, skipping workouts, and teasing you for eating clean. That environment slowly wears down your pumpor. You not because you're weak, but because you're outburned by a vibe that doesn't match your vision. Maybe that was the opposite. Now picture you find yourself with friends who meal prep, track their workouts, and talk about discipline like it's a lifestyle. Maybe that was story. Even on your off days, you're pulled back and contagious. Their commitment becomes your compass. That's not just motivation. That's environmental alignment. Your environment is like soil. Seen the word. Full of potential, ready to bloom. But if you plant yourself in dry, toxic soil, you won't grow. It's not your fault. It's the seed in rich, nurturing soil, and it explodes with life. It thrives, multiplies. The same rule applies to your goals. Build wealth. Surround you intelligent people. Listen to how they think. Observe how they invest, spend, save, and plan. Money has a mindset, and you absorb that a book. Just want to write a book. Spend time with writers, into writing circles. Follow authors who inspire you. Watch what they do on days that will rub off on you. You'll want to become a leader. Spend time with people who already lead. Leadership isn't learned in isolation. By how leaders respond to pressure, how they make decisions, how they carry themselves. Their presence becomes a silent master coach. Talk is influenced by environment. Hang around complainers and you'll start complaining. Hang around solution seekers and your brain starts wiring for solution. Your surroundings they don't just shape your actions, they rewire your identity. You've probably heard the quotey, you've probably rated to your 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, let's take it further. Maybe it's your old story. You're also the average of the conversations you witness and the energy you tolerate. Every room you enter is either feeding your future or draining it. Maybe that is no neutral. So ask yourself, or your current self or your future self, are you surrounding yourself with people who challenge your thinking, raise your standards, and make you uncomfortable in the right ways? Are you staying in rooms that keep you safe, stuck, and small? Successful people on the plane, desk environments with intention, they don't leave it to chance. They hire coaches. They find mentors. They join masterminds. They put themselves in circles where if they stay in the right room long enough, their results are inevitable. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to wait for an invitation to use rooms right now. You can change your environment by changing your inputs. What you read, what you watch, who follow you, and upgrade you create until you create a new normal around you. A normal where progress is standard, where mastery is the air people breathe. Let me leave you with this. Birds fly with burrows. You will never find a lion becoming king of the jungle while hanging out with sheep. And you will never become your most spaces that celebrate comfort over growth. Get in the right room. Choose an environment that matches your mission. And when you do, you won't have to force be pulled into it. Because when your environment rises, you rise with it. There's a secret most high achiever. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It doesn't look exciting on social media. But it's the real reason they are it's this, what you do repeatedly becomes who you are. Read that again. It's not what you do once in a while, it's what you daily. Repetition creates identity. Every action, no matter how small, is a vote for the kind of person you are. Become confident. Speak up, want to be fit. Move your body every morning. Want to be disciplined? Keep promises to yourself over and over. These might seem insignificant at first, but over time they define you. Let's go back to something simple Something we all learned as kids since brush your teeth of themselves as a dental hygiene expert, yet most of us brush every morning and every night like clockwork. It's automatic. You don't think, should I do it? That's identity. It's not effort anymore. It's who you are. Now think about what would happen until your goals. Imagine every day without negotiation, you read 10 pages of a book, wrote 300 words, practiced your craft for 20 minutes, or sound like much, right? But over a year, that's 650 pages read, 109, 500 words written, over 120 hours of practice. Anatomy in the mirror. Repetition isn't just about practice, it's about wiring. Your brain is built to respond to patterns. When you do something once, your brain pays, it remembers. 3 times, it starts predicting. After a few dozen times, it builds a neural pathway. And after hundreds of repetition, that behavior becomes your default. That identity becomes your reality. Let's take a common real life example. Someone who wants to become a morning person, and first waking up early is torture. The alarm feels like punishment. Let them stick with it day after day. Week after week, slowly body adjusts. The mind accepts. They go from, I'm not a morning person, to I am someone who rises early to dominate my day. Same person, new repetition, new identity, the beautician both ways, positively or negatively. If you repeatedly procrastinate, you become someone who avoids. If you repeatedly complain, you sees problems everywhere. If you repeatedly lie to your become someone who doesn't trust their own word. But when you flip the switch, when you choose powerful, growth-aligned repetition, you hypnoticians, you're not chasing motivation anymore. You're building momentum. You're stacking small wins. Maybe those wins rewire how you see your second home. The notebook becomes your place of creation. The quiet time each morning becomes sacred. You don't need to push anymore because this is just what I do. This is who I am. Think about a musician. No one sees the hours they spend running scales in the same section of a song until their fingers bleed. But that repetition is what gives them mastery. It's what gives them present on stage. Because behind that moment is a million repetitions. Same goes for athletes. You watch the highlight reel, the buzzer medal moment, the record breaking sprint. But that second of brilliance is built on years of repetition. Throwing the shot, taking the swing, visualizing the win, even when it's boring, even when nobody is watching. Especially then, want to write a best-selling book. You don't need to write it all at once, you just need a little. Every day, want to build a powerful body? Don't kill yourself in the gym once a month. Show up, move consistently, eat well. Every day, don't fake it till you make it. Do one small, bold thing. Every day. Repetition isn't sexy. It's not viral. But it's what turns amateurs and archers into doors and dreamers into... It's the path from wishful thinking to embodied truth. And here's something beautiful. Every single person, including you. I don't need talent. You don't need luck. You just need commitment. You need to show up again, even when it feels like nothing is changing. Inside you, one more thing, repetition doesn't mean perfection. It means persistence. You'll mess up. You'll miss a day. That's okay. What matters, you're a fall, but that you keep getting back into rhythm. You don't let a slip become a spiral. You return. Recenter. Repeat. That's how identity is built. Is inevitable. Not with grand gestures, but with daily repetition. Small, consistent actions that stack up and you're chasing. Mastery. Greatness. No, there's else, it's not out there. It's in what you repeat. Because the habits you repeat become the standard you accept to define the life you live. Repetition creates identity. So choose what you repeat and watch who you become. You've probably heard the phrase, practice only half the truth. The real magic happens when your practice is not just mechanical, but emotional. When you're not just going through the heart, soul, and focus into every reppy note, every word, every moment. Why? Because the brain doesn't just remember what you do. It remembers how it felt when you did it. That's why this truth is so powerful. Emotional intensity locks in learning. Think about the moments in your life, the changing conversation, a heartbreaking loss, a moment of triumph, a powerful decision. Maybe they all have in common. They weren't forgettable. They weren't charged with emotion. And that emotion etched those moments and forever. That's the power of emotional intensity. It creates last imprints in your brain and body. Now, Imagine what happened if to your practice. Imagine if you didn't just rehearse your presentation, but felt the outcome in your bones. Imagine if you didn't just study a language, but if you did dreams of travel, freedom, connection. Suddenly, it's not just memorization, it's activation. It sticks. It becomes part of you. Let's break simply. Imagine a kid learning how to bike. Day one, they're scared. They wobble, they fall, they cry, but they also laugh. They feel their heart race. They burn is cheering from the sidewalk. That entire moment, the fear, the thrill, the triumph wires deep into there, becomes unforgettable. Not because of the technique, but because of the emotion wrapped around it. Now let's compare that to someone repeating day after day with no feeling, no vision, no purpose. Sure, they're doing the reps, but they're not growing. Why? Because the repetition is empty. That moves their soul. It's like trying to fire with wood. It might spark, but it never catches. In daily life, emotional intensity is in the box and changing your life. Let's say you're learning public speaking. You can practice your speech in front of a mirror 100 times. Or you can close your eyes, picture the audience, feel the nerves, visualize your message landing, and rehearse with that emotional walk wires you for confidence faster. Or imagine someone building a business. If they just look at spreadsheets, they're grand. But if they connect every phone call, every email, every pitch to their dream of freedom, impact, legacy, that emotion turns their work and go from routine to relentless. Here's the truth: emotion is fuel. And the more you connect your actions, faster your brain wires the behavior. This isn't just motivational fluff. It's neuroscience. The more emotionally charged a memory is, the faster the neural pathway forms. You literally learn faster when you care deeply. That's why people remember moments more, feelings more than facts. It's not the information that transforms. It's the intensity attached to it. So the question is, how do you add emotional practice? First, get clear on your why. Why does this matter to you? What's at stake if you don't grow? Becomes possible if you do. The deeper, more personal your why, the more power you bring to every moment of effort. Second, use visualization. Athletes do this before every major game. They feel it. They hear the roar of the crowd. They feel their heart beat. They see their family's pride. That emotional rehearsal wires the brain first. You can do this too. Before you step into action, close your eyes, picture success. Feel it. Let that feeling charge your practice. Celebrate intensity, not just whole brain, full energy, full focus, full emotion. Reward yourself. Not because you got the result, because you brought the fire. That quotient reinforced the habit of emotional engagement. Here's a simple example. You want to write a book, you're not feeling it today. You could take 5 words with a flat spirit, or you could 5 minutes to remember why this matters. What will help, how it will feel to hold it in your hands. When you journey, get fired up, then write. The quality of those words will be text more powerful. Maybe the experience will leave a D-meta champion. This is how champs are trained. They don't just run drills. They run drills like their legacy is on the line. They don't just practice. They prime it greatly, physically, because they've known the body follows the heart. When your soul is in it, your results shift. You don't need to be perfect. But if you bring your full emotional intensity to your practice over and over, you will grow faster, stronger, and more unshakable the next time you step into your craft, whatever it is. Ask yourself, am I just doing this, or am I feeling this? Am I connected? Am I awake? Am I alive? Because go on to your repetition, passion to your process, and meaning to your motion. You won't just learn faster. You'll become unforgettable. If there's one invisible killer of delusion, that we have to get it perfect before we start, that everything needs to be lined up. The right time, the right tools, the perfect strategy. The perfegy that will set you free. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to make progress. We live in a world obsessed with results, perfect lifestyles. Yeah. You scroll through social media and all you see are highlight reels. Polished, filtered, rehearsed. And without even realizing, if I can't do it like that, maybe I shouldn't do it at all. That voice of doubt creeps in. I'm not ready. I'm not going to meet you up. Head up. So what happens? You don't move. You freeze. You wait. And while you're stuck trying to be perfect, someone else with less skill takes the first step. And guess what? They're already ahead. Because in the beginning, Momentum beats mastery. Single. Time. You don't need to make, but you master it by moving. Progress is what gives you clarity. Progress is what builds confidence. Progress is what unlocks feedback. You can read every book on swimming, but you won't learn to swim until you jump into the water. You won't learn to lead until you live. You won't become a writer until you write. The doing is the becoming. Let's look at a daily life example. Men start running, but instead of lacing up their shoes and hitting the road, they spend weeks researching the best shoes, maybe the best playlist, the best breathing tea to overthink. They hesitate. Meanwhile, their friend just walks out the door, runs a messy, breathless mile, and comes back sweating and smiling. They're lots faster. Who do you think builds belief? It's not the one with the perfect plan. It's the one with imperfect action. Momentum builds muscle. Momentum becomes a force that carries you through fear, failure, and frustration. Perfection is seductive because it makes us feel safe, but it's a nation in disguise. Because if you're waiting to be perfect, you'll wait forever. Nobody starts off great. Nobody begins as a master. Think Serena Williams, Elon Musk. Every single one of them started imperfectly. Maybe their first version wasn't for flaws. First pitch, first product. It wasn't genius, but they started, they moved, they stumbled forward, and that's what created mastery. Let's bring to home. Think about a toddler learning to walk. They don't wait until their legs are strong and their balance is perfect. They wobble, they fall, they cry, but they get up again and again because you'll be perfect. They're just trying to get to the other side of the room. And in that pursuit, they get stronger until one day they're running. That's how with perfection, but with movement. With bold, messy, awkward, beautiful progress. And here's the secret saucing. Progress feels good. It fuels your brain. One time you take a step forward, even a small one, your brain celebrates. That celebration creates motivation. That motivation leads to more action. And that will have a momentum that's nearly impossible to stop. So if you're sitting on a dream, a book you want to write, a business you want to start, a skill waiting for perfection, just begin, just start. Write the first paragraph. Record the first video. Have the first uncomfortable can't be perfect. And that's exactly how it should be, because the road to greatness isn't paved with perfect steps. It's paved with consistent ones. Progress gritty. Progress is humbling, and it will teach you more than perfection ever could. Let me ask you this, songs. What's one thing you could do today? Right, move you forward just 1 inch. Not 10 miles. Not a giant leap. Just one tiny imperfect step. Can you send the email? Can you make the 10 push-ups? Can you do 10 first sentence? That step, that progress is worth more than any perfect plan that never gets executed. And over time, those small steps add up. You look back 30 days, 60 days, and you're not the same person. You got traction, you got belief. You've got scars, yes, but also strength, because you acted when you were unsure. You kept going when it was messy. That's courage. That's power. So wherever you are on your journey, weigh everything out, or you've been stuck in your head for too long. Remember, this progress is the path. Perfection is a mirage. And if you want to, first thing you must master is the art of simply starting. Forget perfect. Get moving. Let your progress pull you into on your side. Nothing can stop you. Not even your old limitations. Your future doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to show up. Again, go, action, and a willingness to grow. That's how you win. That's how mastery begins. If there's one reason rousing people don't forego, even when they have all the plans, tools, courses, strategies, it's because they never become follows through. They try to change what they do without changing who they are. And that's like trying to plant a top-lit story. It might sprout, but it won't last. This is why the most powerful shift you can make in your life is this identity before strategy. Intentions will follow. Think about that. Strategy is important.
Yes.
But it's the second step. If your identity is out of alignment, will stick wild. Because you will always act in a way that's consistent with how you see yourself. Always. Your identity is the thermostat harder for a few days or weeks, but you'll always return to what you believe about who you are. You don't rise to your goals. You follow me, bring this to life with a simple example too. People are trying to quit smoking. One is offered a cigarette and says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." Be not a smoker. Do you hear the difference? One is fighting their current identity. One is fighting current idea that they are a smoker, just trying to resist it. The other has adopted a new identity.
Yeah, they are.
And because of that, the action becomes easier. This applies to everything. Want to get fit? Don't just follow a workout plan. Those workouts. Want to build wealth? Want to build wealth? Don't just follow a financial strategy. Become someone who respects money, thinks long-term, and invests wisely to make a great speaker. Don't just take a course. Become someone who shows up confidently and commands the room. When your actions flow from identity, you don't have to push. Your habits pull you. Most people don't fail because of because of a misaligned identity. They say, I want to write a book, but they still know who procrastinates. Or they say, I want to be successful, but deep down, they believe they're not worth there's friction. So instead of momentum, they get stuck in cycles of hesitation, self-doubt, and sabotage. But here's the incredible news, identifix. You're not born with it. You build it through repetition, intention, and alignment. Every time you act in alignment with your identity, you cast a vote for that version of you. The more votes you cast, the more solid that identity becomes. Eventually, you don't have to force belief. But say you want to become a disciplined person. You don't need to overhaul your whole life overnight. You just need to make one decision. Today, you disciplined person would make. Wake up on time, turn off the distractions, keep one small promise, then tomorrow do it again. Stack those wins, reinforce the audience, reinforce something you're trying to be. It's just who you are. Here's a real life story that proves this point. There was a man who lost over 100-pound dudes are crushing the gym for hours, but by changing his identity first, he started by asking, what would a healthy person do today? What would diet I follow? Not the fastest way to lose weight. Just one identity aligned question. That one question changed everything. It was mindset and ultimately transformed his life. It works in the business world too. Entrepreneurs who succeed they become leaders, risk takers, value creators. They see themselves as builders, and from that identity, they adapt. Because of one magic strategy, but because their identity is aligned with success. Even in relationships, this principle shows up. If you want to have a partnership, you can't just read books about communication. You must become the kind of person who listens deeply, who loves fully, who supports unconscientity. Your behaviors follow. Identity before strategy also removes the exhausting need for motivation. Because if you're always relying on willpower, but when your identity is aligned, you don't need to feel motivated. You just act, because this is what I do. A writer leads. A champion trains. It's not about mood. It's about alignment. So ask yourself right now, who do I need to become in order to HHL with that version of me do today? Not someday, but now. Would they snooze the alarm or jump out of bed? Would they scroll for hours or study themselves or move forward with courage? You already have the blueprint. It's within you. You've just got to step into it. All true. And the more you act in alignment with that new identity, the more you become it. Because when you become the person who becomes inevitable, you don't need more strategies. You need more alignment. You need to believe it before you see it. Then act like it's already emotion really happens. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Identity before strategy. Every time.